Good morning again. Welcome to this week's vlog. Thanks for tuning in. As you may know, if you've watched all my vlogs, I've struggled in Woodland before. It's a kind of a new thing for me. I'm a coastal photographer, really. I'm very happy on the coast doing seascapes, very happy doing landscapes, happy up mountains, happy with a drone, all of that kind of stuff. I feel like I've not cracked, because I don't think you ever do, but I certainly feel confident in it. But Woodland is something that I've always wanted to be good at and never really dedicated any time to. So I'm going to try and put that right over the next couple of weeks, because we're now at the very start, I would say, of autumn. I've come into my local woodland. Brilliant news is I haven't had to drive. I've literally just walked out of my house. And this woodland you see here is situated about half a mile behind my house, so a nice walk this morning to get here. Only thing about it I don't like is there is a railway line that runs along there, so if you hear trains in the next few minutes, then you'll know that's what it is. But it's still beautiful. When we had snow a few years ago, it seems like forever, this is where I came, and I think this is the spot, because we've got this nice tree here and the one there, you can see it behind me, this kind of gnarly oak, were both lovely in the snow, so I thought I'd come and revisit them in the light. Now I feel a little bit out of my depth, because I'm not sure really what light works best. I mean, it's early in the morning, I'm not here at sunrise, I've had a bit of a lay-in. I was working at school yesterday, so today's been a bit of a kind of a catch-up. There goes the train, and that's on its way to London. So I'm feeling a little bit about, I don't quite know what light works best. Generally, obviously side lighting works best. I'm kind of at the edge of the woodland, and I think the light over there is better. The leaves, I've been keeping a very close eye on the greenery around here, the foliage around here, and it's different in different parts of the country. As the north gets colder, I would imagine the leaves are further on going yellow and russet and all those kind of lovely colours. But here in East Anglia, I reckon we're going to need another couple of weeks probably. But there are some glimpses of things that are changing. So here on the floor of this wood, it's covered in brambles. I walked my dogs over here thousands of times. We always go around the edge. There's also a kind of like a cycle track around here, which the local mountain bikers use. I mean, there's an awful lot of rubbish they've left behind. I'm presuming it's those guys. There's old tyres and stuff, which is a real shame. But I'm not going to let that worry me. The sun's obviously this end, so this is the side of the wood that I've been scouting out, and I've got a couple of things in mind to shoot. I'm going to have a little couple of go at these two trees, see if I can't get a composition. This is a mixed woodland. We've got silver birch in here, we've got some oaks, not particularly mature, but I would imagine they're a good 100 years old. There's nothing really old and gnarly, but some interesting shapes. So I'm going to have a go at here today, and then over the next couple of days I've got some other local woodlands which will involve a drive, but they're really nice. And then what I might do is revisit these in 2 or 3 weeks when hopefully the colour is changing. But I'm very excited, the fact that it's starting to get into autumn. My photography starts in the end of September, October, and goes through to April. So that's the very start of this season, because we're now in September. So I'm excited for the later sunrises, the earlier sunsets, the better lower light, and hopefully some nice conditions. I could do some mist, but we haven't got any. So let's have a go and see what we can get. I've got the two interesting trees here and some of the foliage in the background and some tree trunks just to hold the image, and then we've got these brambles which I'm obviously having to stand in. on the bottom. You can see signs of autumn, the fact that the fruits, the blackberries themselves, have gone off a little bit. Some nice shapes with this branch coming through, so not overly impressed, but we could get a 16 by 9 off this, so we'll see what it looks like. So I'm going to shoot it anyway. I'll show you the image now, see what you think. Already. Phew. Well, that's one shot in the bag. Definitely going to do some sort of panoramic on that to try and cut out the sky and the understory, which is covered in brambles, as you saw. Come out to another train. I've come out to a clearing in the woods. I may have said earlier, this woodland is mostly oak, but there are some silver birches which are nice when they catch the light. Especially at the moment, we have a few kind of beech trees in here as well. I want to be on this edge, because on this edge, even though the railway line is there, that's the way the light's coming in, and I'm looking really for the light to give me some side lighting on some of these old trunks. There's some lovely silver birches up here, with some oak trees around them. And this needs to find some interesting shapes. The brambles along the bottom, could really do with some bracken. The wood I'm going to go to probably tomorrow has got lots of bracken, and that may be going off a little bit more, so the understory might look a bit better, but I'm going to persevere. The light is still okay, so I'm going to move this way and see if I can't find an image over here. There's always something to photograph. Wherever you are, there's always something to photograph. That's why I've always said, let's see if I can prove myself right. Right, let's move over. I might have to put the coat back on, and we'll go over there. So I've come across this scene, which I quite like actually. So we've got this interesting oak, little small oak here. There's another one over here which may or may not be in the image. And then this silver birch here, I'll just show you this one. I love this old bark on this trunk. The light's going to hit the side here, and then in the distance we've got another one. So there's a dog walker coming, so I'll just keep it out of the way. Oh no, she's gone the other way, so don't like talking in front of people. Feel a bit of a fool sometimes. So we're going to have a look at that. The light, there's some cloud cover now, so the light's in and out, which probably may or may not be any good actually. What I really like for woodland, what I wanted really to try is a rainy day, and yesterday was raining, but yesterday I was doing some work at school, so unfortunately I couldn't make it, but there'll be lots of other days. The other thing I like about this scene is the fact that this tree here, I'm not sure what sort it is actually. This has died off, and it could be because of the summer that we've had. Oh, it's a beech tree, and it's kind of, that's not autumn, that's just that part of the tree's dead, I think. So that's hopefully going to survive. There are some bits of green on it. I'm sure it will come back again next year. And there's also, on the understory here, some of these brambles are going red and orange. Again, as I said earlier, probably need another couple of weeks. But there's also some nice interesting detail further back this way. We've got an old stump of a silver birch, some more old oak, and this has got lots of depth. And as you know, I love depth in photography. That's what makes it spring out of the 2D image that you see. So let me concentrate on this. I'll shoot something and I'll share it with you and see what you think. There could be 2 images of the day, so I'm not sure they're going to be the best ever, but I think they'll be okay. I think they'll be quite nice. And it gives me a chance to have a little look at them and make some decisions. Obviously in mist is great wherever. Obviously in rain it will be interesting to do as well, just to block out the sky a little bit. But as it is, I don't think this is too bad. So let's have a go. See what you think of the picture. Remember I said always look behind you? love this scene. I could bring you closer, but I thought it'd be nice for you to see it from back there. There's some nice colours in this. That's the beech tree I think I was talking about earlier, and the silver birches I photographed before back that way, and this old oak tree I came across I really loved. Love the way this bough, well, these two boughs actually come across the path. It looks kind of like a bit of a monster that's just literally controlling the forest. The colours are starting to go. I love this old little one here, which is suffering a bit. I've been cut to ribbons by the brambles as well, but actually this looks quite nice. Before I struggled with the fact that everything looked so messy, but actually I'm enjoying the colours and the textures, and the pathway certainly breaks that up a little bit and gives it a little bit of space. So I'm really enjoying photographing this. In the distance there's a housing estate, which you won't see because if it appears at all I'll just clone it out, but it's amazing what you can find on your doorstep. I mean, I've literally walked here today, so it's just so nice to be able to just come out and enjoy myself in the woodland. And looking around, there's pigeons and various, actually I've seen this morning there's some roe deer in the field this way. I might head over deep into the wood. There's another edge which I know quite well, which I'm going to have a little look at in a moment because it gets very thick behind you. But let's just shoot this one. I am also seeing, interestingly enough, I'm also seeing everything panoramic. I don't know why, it may be because of the sky, but I think all of these are going to be 16 by 9s, and I like that. I love that format. I think it's really works well. All of my years taking school photographs, taking panoramic pictures, that was always my favourite way to shoot, favourite format to shoot in. So I think I might embrace that and do a few of these, so see what this looks like. Okay, the light's looking good, so we're going to focus on the main tree, the main man, and then hopefully we're going to get some light on the trees behind. Now I'm very careful with the histogram. I don't want those trees behind burning out too much. There may be a case of waiting for more subtle light, or it may be a case of just making sure, which is what I'm doing actually, is the exposure is further to the shadows. Now actually if I move over here, and this is the importance of just spending a bit of time at a scene, if I move literally a foot, I've just noticed behind me, or behind this big main tree, there is another interesting oak tree which would actually work really well in here. So for me, it's all about, I would say, giving the eye stuff to look at, giving some depth to the photograph, getting things to discover that you didn't know were there. This little oak tree on the right, that one I've just shot and I shouldn't have done, because this little one on the right here isn't quite in the picture. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to open up the angle a little bit, so we're going to go a slightly more wide angle, because I want to get the silver birch on the left in the picture, and I want this curvy oak on the right in the picture. The main subject is this oak tree, which is what I'm focusing on, and I'm just doing that with a touch screen on the GFX, which is really lovely. And then we've got the colours of the beech tree and the other old oak, and then beyond that another silver birch. So loads and loads of depth to this, and there is a pathway which I think you'll just be able to see, which is working its way in. The front canopy, or the lower canopy of this brambles, looks really dark with this exposure, but I'm going to crop a lot of that out, so I'm not too worried about that. The polarizer is just giving me a little bit of a richer colours. I've just been tweaking that a little bit, and a polarizer works really well in woodland because it takes any glare at all off anything and just gives everything a bit more of a richness. So that, just not convinced about the exposure. Okay, so I can see on my histogram, you can't see, but I've brought the histogram to the left, so into the shadows area, and then I've moved it back out to the right, just until it's starting to hit the right hand side. So there's, I've got all my highlights in there now, and there is obviously then enough detail in these brambles to pull them out in Lightroom. Quite like that. starting to go all right at Woodland photography. Right, I'm going to move round and across to the other side of the woods, and then we'll go and have some breakfast and a coffee. So this tree is an old friend. I do know this part of the wood quite well. This path is where I walk my dogs. I walk them in the morning, I walk them in the evening, in the rain, in the snow. It's just a beautiful part of the local woodland. My house is literally about 200 yards that way, which is fantastic. What attracted me to this scene, I mean, I know this tree's here, and it looks lovely. I love the fact that it's all gnarly, the bark is really kind of wrinkly. I like the way that those on this bough here, all the leaves are coming off the top of it, and it's almost like a floor, like a canopy. And also this side, we've got some beech trees, which the leaves are starting to go the leaves are starting to go autumnal. So we've got a little bit of colour through there, and then on the floor and the lower canopy, we've got kind of leaves that have been blown along. And if you go through the scene, there are some more oak trees there which just take the eye round. Somebody's put a big rope over the top of this tree, which hopefully I won't get in, but if I do, I'll clone it. There's also a broken tree here, but this part of the scene, which you can't see, doesn't look so good. I have walked round to see if I can use that branch in any other way, but actually I really like this area. I have a little play with the camera. I mean, I might end up going further that way, because this way there is also some colour in the far distance, but that may end up being a bit distracting. What's really good about this also is the fact that I've got no sky in it really, just a hint of it at the top, but mostly this shot is going to be into the forest floor, which is, if you keep the sky out, I always think they look better. It's getting a bit chilly. I think autumn is definitely on its way, and I think another couple of weeks these leaves are going to go. So let's shoot this one. There may be one more which is further that way I know about, so I'll have a look at that. If you see me doing that, then great. If not, I've probably gone home for breakfast and I'll finish this off back at the studio. Right, let's shoot this then. So the coat's coming on, the hat's going to come on in a minute. I think it's freezing out here now. I've come across one more scene before we go. What attracts me to this scene really is obviously silver birches always look lovely, and these look really nice. The lights from the right hand side, you can see that across there. I've got these little oaks here, this big slope, and then we've got one lot of brown leaves and one lot of green leaves with little bits of yellow in them, and then in the distance we've got some very kind of mint green looks. The sky's in it, and on the back of the camera, I don't know if you can see that, they've got some flashing zebras along the top telling me that's overexposed, and if I look at the histogram there is one big spike, but I'm actually not worried about that because this is going to be, like the others, cropped into a panoramic crop, so a 16 by 9, something like that. The only problem I've got now is that the wind has got up a little bit, which means the leaves are moving, and I'm really only shooting about 1/3 of a second, so I might get a bit of camera shake, so I might have to crank the ISO up a little bit. But actually on a GFX it shouldn't make a lot of difference. I mean, ISO 800 will still look good, so I might just take a couple, might just wait and see if the wind dies down. It could do. It hasn't been blowing that much all morning, so but maybe a weather front's come in or something. It's looking a bit more cloudy in the distance, so I'll hang about here and put this up. So I think what I'll say now is thanks very much for tuning in. Your support as ever is really appreciated. I've learned quite a lot from today. It's my first serious, no, second, third serious go at Woodland, and the first serious go at the Woodland behind my house. And I think the light's been okay. I could do with some mist. I'd like to come back in the mist. I'd like to come back in the rain. I've got another woodland that I really love, and that's about 20 minutes that way, which I will do next. So another couple of weeks, I think it's going to be really interesting. I've said in the previous vlog about the fact that the summer's been really dry and how that's going to affect the trees. Well, some of them have not looked their best, but actually everything seems to have survived quite well, and we've had some rain lately. There's a few dead bits, but I think nature seems to have recovered a little bit. Just really annoyed about the plastic bottles that people have left lying around in here, but there we go. That's what human life is like by the looks of it. So until next week, where I will probably be either in another woodland, I would imagine, or I'll be photographing mushrooms, but I'll put the end of it, or the start of next week's, on the end of this anyway, so you'll be able to see. So until next week, thanks for tuning in.